So please, let's give a warm welcome to Dylan Swann and Macy O Music. Welcome. Woo! Should have got some more music. Welcome, welcome. How are you both feeling? Good. Good.
Yeah, all good.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. Okay, fab. I did write down a longer introduction here, but actually what I want to do is give you two the opportunity to introduce yourselves, let our wonderful audience here know a little bit about you, and I guess what your creative career is, please. We'll start with you, Macy.
Okay, so hi, I'm Macy, or Macy O. I'm a singer-songwriter but producer. I won Production Future's BTA Best Production Newcomer, and have since been working as a producer and co-producer on Moose Records, a co-owned record label by myself and my co-owner, who is somewhere in the audience, but I can't see him because I haven't got my glasses on. But yeah, that's what I do.
And I'm Dylan. I work for PRG as a marketing coordinator. I do the social media channels and the website, and get to go to all of the gigs that we put on and take photos.
And social media production and marketing newcomer of the year.
Yeah.
Well done. So 2 award winners on stage. Huge well done to you both. And just a great shout out and reminder, I guess, to get involved in those Production Futures Awards that happen every year. So if you're not in the clue of them yet, then join the Production Futures community so you can find out more about that. But wonderful. All right, let's get started then. So, Macy, let's start with you. For anyone in the audience, which I think is probably a lot of them, sitting on talent. You know, they've got a passion, they've got a talent, but not quite sure where to begin in how to turn that into a career where they can actually make money and thrive and survive. What would you say would be like the first step that you'd recommend?
I think for me, especially talking from a producer point of view and making music for not only sometimes yourself, but also other people, is just making yourself known as much as you can. And if you see any artists in your local area who are looking for producers, looking for that, like actively emailing them or reaching out even on a social media platform and saying like, hi, I'm an upcoming producer looking for this experience and I'd love to work with you. And that element of collaboration in your local area to begin with is a really good way to kind of break in and show people what you can do. And then the more you do that, the more you can put on your CV. So then when you go for other things, people will see that list of experience you've got and go, oh, they look like a reliable client, and like see the examples of what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great example that could also be, you know, you could exchange music for whatever your creative passion is. Less and less. I feel like arts funding is always just seems to be the first thing to get cut. But there's always going to be something near you in your local community. And I guess most people here probably live in London. I mean, where better to go and find places where you can get involved? So yeah, great example. Thank you, Macy. What about you? What would you recommend?
Create your own opportunities. So I set up my own business before I got into marketing, and that's how I kind of found out that I enjoyed it. But yeah, if you're not getting opportunities around, then make them yourself. And if you're going to gigs or whatever, take photos, build your own portfolio that way. I think
Was that your first step? You were like, I want to do this. I'm going to like make my own opportunities. What was your first step?
It was creating my own YouTube channel for my business. And yeah, I kind of learned how to edit videos that way.
Yeah, nice. And then, Dylan, what skills do you think matter most in his creative roles? You've obviously already got the creative talent, but on top of that, what extra skills do you think are most important?
I think the biggest thing is being able to network and talk to people. A lot of the time, you're going to new environments, you're talking to new people, so being able to just go out there and talk to them, not like mess up and ruin the vibe of the place. You've got to kind of blend in with everyone. I think that's pretty useful.
I love that. Although I also love changing the vibe. I think that's fine. Would you say you like networking?
Yeah, it's something that I've had to kind of learn. To start with, I was really
Doesn't mean
shy.
you like it.
Well, I do now, but to
Did you
start
like
with,
networking when you first started?
probably not.
No. But you've learned to like it.
Yeah.
What do you think changed Obviously, other than like you forced yourself to do it, but was there a moment when you realized, okay, networking isn't just like gross, what can I get from you, but it's
Yeah.
actually like nice. So what changed to make that switch in your head?
I think realizing how nice people are in the industry, like everyone's welcoming and there to give you advice. So that was a big shift for me.
Yeah, great. What about you, Macy? I mean, I know you're, I'm not going to say a lady's age, but you're fairly like young. I feel like I would not have been networking until I was like 25. Are you doing much networking? How do you find it?
I think whenever I can, I try. But as someone who finds sitting here and talking to people a lot easier than sitting down and having a conversation with a person, it's still something for me that I find quite difficult. But from a networking point of view, the advice I would give, if you're that person who's a bit more reserved, a bit more frightened to go and make yourself known to a person, is to just do it. Like literally just rip off the Band-Aid and just go be like, hello, I'm this. Oh, that scared me just then. But I still find it quite intimidating. But again, like Dylan, it's something that I'm actually learning to love. And I feel like Production Futures helped me there, because when we went to the ILMC Futures Forum, I met Dylan, I met another guy called Will and Alvin, and I've kept in contact with them, and seeing all them today, it's been like I've got to remake those connections, and building upon that has just been great.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly, I don't think anyone was born and then went into the world of work and was like, I love networking. Maybe like a very, very small amount. But honestly, just the more you do it, the more you realize it's not totally terrible. And you're actually just making friends. And it's not like, oh, what can I get from you? Or what can you get from me? It's just like, let's chat. Let's be friends. Let's see how we can help each other along the way. It's so much nicer. And also just on tips, I love networking now. It's like a big part of my passion of work. But just find the people that are also looking a little bit like uncomfortable around the edge. Maybe they're on their own, maybe they're on their phone. Don't think, oh, they must be doing something really important on their phone. They're hiding. Go and speak to them. They'll love you forever. That's how you make your best friends. Macy, any other skills that you would recommend that are really important when you're carving out a creative career, other than the creative stuff?
I feel like as a producer, having that open line of communication and like soft skills, like organization and time management and things like that are really important when working on specific projects, especially things like if you're working to a deadline with a client and they're like, I want my project finished by this date so I can take it to be mastered, or I want it distributed, or yada yada yada. And being able to go and be specific with feedback, so then you can make a structure to how you're going to make edits to a piece or how you're going to finish production by that certain date, and having those skills to be able to have that open line of communication with your clients, especially if you have multiple on the go at one time, is really helpful, because it keeps you on top of it and then betters your reputation in your local area and wider.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite common for people to think like, oh, creatives, they're too creative to be organized. But actually, like, we have to be some of the most organized people ever when you're freelance, whether we want to or not. What sort of tips would you give for keeping yourself organized when you're working on different projects, Macy? What works for you?
I'd say don't leave projects unfinished for long periods of time, because like you may go like, oh yeah, I'll come back to that, I'll get inspiration, which of course, but sometimes leaving it for too long can kill inspiration of a track, even if you're coming at it from a writing perspective and you've written it. And sometimes thinking about production things, like how you want to produce the vocals, how you want certain things to sound, even a mix, it can just be like sometimes overwhelming. But then if you leave something unfinished and start something else, and you keep doing that, you can get into a cycle of having loads of unfinished drafts and too many things on the go for once. So be really committed to a small handful of projects that you want to finish before like starting loads and loads of other things.
That is honestly really good advice. I'm 35 and I still need to remember that, because you get, as creatives, we get inspiration and we're like, I know, I want to do this now, I want to do this, and like chasing the new exciting thing. But like, goodness me, if you have got that far with a certain project, like do stick and commit to it before doing anything else. I'm glad you've learnt that. Half my age, basically.
It is easier said than done.
It is. And I guess if something's just really draining your energy and you're not going to get that much from it, just bin it, I guess, in the same vein. Dylan, what about you? anything to share on the organisation side? Working in social media as well, my God, you have to just be like, dun, organised.
I think just preparing for stuff as best as you can really helps. Like, so there's so much planning that goes into social media posts and going to site that it kind of helps your process. When you actually have the content, you know what you're doing with it. And so it's really useful.
Yeah, nice. Do you use anything like Asana or ClickUp or anything to keep yourself organised?
Just Teams and
Teams.
stuff like that.
Good for you. That's the worst one. I use like both like ClickUp, Asana, Monday.com. They're all really like much of a muchness, but they're a really good way of keeping you organised if you've got lots of projects going on. And they're all free for like individuals, so have a look. So Macy, when did you realise like this isn't just a hobby for me? This is what I want to do as my full-time career.
I think it was. I started writing music in 2020 predominantly as a songwriter, and I didn't do any of the production myself originally. I went to multiple studios in London, like we've done Abbey Road, we've done Psalm, we've been to Metropolis for various mixing, mastering, production sessions. And I think it was around 2022 when I started to get into production myself, thanks to my dad, he's just finishing his degree in music production, inspired me to make stuff myself. And I think having that freedom and having it all kind of down to your own mind and not someone over your shoulder going, oh, you'll get used to that sound, just leave it in for a bit longer, made me want to push the boundaries and kind of realize what I can do and what I can make, because there are so many things out there, but everyone brings something really specific and different to the table. And I think that's what started to drive me into making it a full-time career.
Yeah, I love that story. Thank you. And what about you, Dylan? When were you like, yeah, I could do this as a career?
I think just from the first site visit that I did, I had a really cool opportunity that I got to go to Croatia to shoot the Lenny Kravitz tour.
Nice.
And being backstage, being around that, him walking past me, like it was pinch me kind of thing. So yeah, that was when I was like, I need to do whatever I can to stick at this.
To keep seeing Lenny Kravitz in
Yeah.
real life. Yeah, I love that. Was there ever a moment though that you've, like, since you've had those moments where you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do, have there been moments where you've almost quit? And why? Macy?
Oh, I think there has been moments where I've been like, oh, why do I try, in a sense? It's so frustrating. And I think for me, a lot of that derives from comparison and seeing how people do things and seeing all these achievements from other people. And you're like, well, I'm doing the same thing, so why aren't I getting those opportunities? And that's where like things like networking come into it, because sometimes it's not what you do, it's who you know and being in the right place at the right time in the right group of people. And so since learning that, I've then tried to put myself out there and do more of those kind of networking things, push myself forward for opportunities, and like Dylan said, create my own, which has kind of prevented me from falling into the rabbit hole of being like, oh, why do I do this?
I think you touched on a really good point there, actually, which somebody asked the question in the first session earlier about, like, how do you deal with imposter syndrome or feeling like you're not doing enough? Because we're all on social media now, we're all seeing what our peers are doing and comparing ourselves, whether we like it or not. Doesn't matter how like high up in the game you are. Like, I'm sure Beyonce is comparing herself to like Taylor Swift or someone, I don't know. So how do you handle that and not let it mess with your goals and your plan, Macy?
I think it's just being like, other people are doing loads of things, and people may take different paths but ultimately arrive at the same destination. There's so many different ways to do things or achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Like, for example, this is going to be really niche, but like, say if you're recording vocals, some people will record using dynamic mics, some people record using condenser mics. You can use a ribbon mic if you want. But ultimately, you're still recording vocals and you're still taking yourself that one step closer and using the resources you have around you to make those goals. And every single journey is different, never linear, but it's always like a steady incline. And even if you have knocks in the road, that's okay, because everyone has those moments.
Exactly. And they often are what make you stronger and better, actually. Dylan, any advice from you on that? On not comparing?
I mean, it depends how you look at it. I try to look at it in a positive manner. Like, especially with social media, everyone's work is just out there for you to access. So I try to get inspiration from other people's work. There's a photographer that kind of does production shots called Luke Dyson. His work is incredible, and it helped me develop from when I started to now, like where I need to position myself, and what I kind of need to do to get the best shots.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a freelance MC, which is a creative role, and there's lots and lots of people that do what I do. There's lots and lots of people that do what all of us do. And I could so easily, and I do follow a lot of them online, and I feel like there could so easily be competition in the creative industries. And there is a lot of it. However, I've just decided to not, and just become friends with them all. And if they don't want to be friends with me, that's totally fine, no beef, but like I've connected with them on LinkedIn, I've worked on events with a lot of them, and now I've got some like really amazing friendships and relationships with people who, whilst we are technically each other's competition and maybe sometimes going for the same events or whatever, we're like actually really happy when the other one gets it. There'll still always be a little bit like, I really wish I'd got it, but it does take the sting away when you just make it nice and friendly and completely change the mindset. So I love that, Dylan. Thank you. Was there, though, Dylan, a rejection or mistake or a setback that you've had that's ended up changing or reshaping your career?
I mean, that Lenny Kravitz opportunity, it was my first like concert that I went to shoot, and I didn't know where I needed to stand. The camera that I had wasn't very good for concert photography, so it pushed me to level up what I was doing, because yeah, it was a massive learning curve. We couldn't use the photos.
Oh no!
But, yeah.
God, that's like worst nightmare stuff. How did you handle that? Like, what did you do? Just no, you tell me.
Well, it was the first opportunity, so I knew that like it wasn't going to be perfect. Just did more research. I think that was a big thing. And working at PRG, you've got so many experienced people in the industry working there around you. Like I could just go to them for advice, because they've been around it for so long.
Yeah.
They had that info.
Did you at all like get in any trouble, or were people really understanding?
They were understanding.
Good.
To me.
Yeah.
Maybe to themselves they were probably thinking, is this the right guy? But yeah.
But that's not, I ask because I think that is nice. Like people are allowed to make mistakes, and it can feel like the worst thing in the world when you do make those mistakes, and like, oh, I'm never going to get booked again, I'm going to be laughed out of town. But it's just not the case. Like we all started off somewhere, we all make mistakes. Have you had any stories like that, Macy, or?
Oh, I don't really know. I don't think so. I think me...
It'll come.
Yeah, myself and my dad have made stupid mistakes when, like, say, we'll bounce out a track to a client, and we'll be like, we didn't bounce out the bass in there. And like, we'll do little things like that, and we'll think, why didn't we hear that? But again, you know, can't really do anything about it. As long as you fix it, it's fine.
Yeah, fix it or just like don't get hung up on it. I love that. Thank you. So for creatives juggling side hustles, which I think the vast majority of us are, how have you balanced that with other things like either paying the bills or finishing your education and stuff like that? How, because it's just so time consuming. How do you handle that? Dylan, I'll come to you first for this one.
I took the apprenticeship route, so I was still earning some money, as well as marketing my own business. So I mean, I was still getting money from that, but yeah, having learning opportunities and your job being how you develop is probably a good way.
Yeah, so you were doing a full-time apprenticeship, and you did have your marketing company on the side, but you were mostly focusing on the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much, like, roughly, how much time, how many hours a week were you spending on your side hustle, your marketing business, when you had the apprenticeship?
It didn't really switch off, so
Yeah.
all the weekend, when I finish work kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was full-time event presenter for a while, and then was like, I know I want to go freelance, so I had to start side hustling. And you do, like, your social life basically just becomes non-existent, and you just have to put up with it for a bit. But actually, I think, like, when you're really passionate about something, it doesn't feel like lots of work. If it feels like lots of work for you, I mean, everyone's situation is different. Maybe your full-time job is just what's draining you. But, like, really do think about, is this what you want to do? Because when you do get rid of the full-time job and your side hustle that's creative becomes full-time, you're still going to be working just as many hours. I'm usually working, like, 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. with, like, various long breaks because I can. But I'm often doing weekends. So just got to, like, yeah, be prepared. It doesn't just be like, oh, I work for myself now. I do what I want. You're working way more hours. Have you found that, Macy?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, being someone that still juggles education, and especially I'm currently studying subjects that I do not really like, because when I went into sixth form, I was like, okay, I have to have a backup plan because I was told that by lots of my teachers and peers and stuff. And then I got halfway through the year and I was like, you know what? Screw the backup plan. Just throw it out the window. I'm half advising that, half not. But so now I study English and biology as well as doing all of this kind of stuff on the side. And I find that even in school hours, it just takes over my life. I'm either writing an email or I'm writing a song or I'm like fixing up some production things or mixing stuff. Mixing's a lot of the stuff actually. But like you said, if it's truly a passion and it's truly something you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work, and you just find yourself doing it even when sometimes you're not consciously thinking about it, which is really fun.
Yeah, definitely. So we've talked a lot about networking being the most important thing, and like building your community and getting yourself out there for opportunities. And I think we've said that on every session today, and it is true. I personally think the second most important thing is your personal brand. Well, maybe the most important thing is your creativity. I don't know. I don't want to rank them. Top three: your actual, like, you know, ability to be creative, your network, and then your personal brand. Because unless you are shouting about what you do and how you do it and who you are, like, nobody else is going to do that. So I'm always going on about personal brand. When did you guys realize that and like start working on your personal brand? Dylan, maybe I'll come to you first, as you're the social media pro.
Fairly recently, to be fair, in the past like 6 to 12 months, I'm having these excited opportunities. I should be sharing that I'm the one that's working on them. So I've started posting on LinkedIn. I've set up an Instagram page. I've not started posting my stuff on there yet, but it's a work in progress. It will happen.
And what sort of stuff are you putting on LinkedIn? Like, do you think you found your Dylan voice?
I'm just putting my name against the articles that I'm working on, which is something that I've started to develop. I didn't really have a writing background, but I've started to try and develop that. So yeah, just being able to talk about that and link the people that I'm talking to create the articles, the people that I'm talking to on site, and growing my network. That's kind of how I'm doing it at the minute, but I'd like to talk about better topics, actually show my personality rather than just, this is my work.
Exactly. And I think it's really easy to get bogged down, like overwhelmed, like, oh my God, what am I going to post today? And I think just to get started, just don't overthink it, just start posting stuff. And then as you start to post, it gets easier and you can start doing the strategy side of things and like finding your voice. And by finding your voice, it doesn't mean like you have to change who you are. The more authentic you are to yourself, the better. But it's really hard until you start doing it to sound like you speak while typing. That was really hard for me to explain. So you just got to get started. And I've got like 5 different Instagram accounts, and I realized I just need one, just Stephanie Gary, and just post everything from there. You don't need to have lots and lots of different ones. Although maybe you feel differently, Macy, with music. Do you want to tell us how you got started with your outward personal branding?
Well, I feel like starting as a singer-songwriter purely, I was very like, okay, I have to establish who I am as an artist, what kind of music I make, and what I stand for, and those kind of brand values. So I feel like from the beginning, I began to establish this, and as I've grown up, they've also grown with me. But then when we started Moose Records in 2023, Corona, hi. can see your bald head glistening from here. Sorry. No, I'm not here to throw roasts.
Roasts at your dad from the panel. I love it.
Oops. Anyway, and when we started Moose Records then, I was like, okay, so this is a separate entity from my own personal like brand as an artist and as a person. And now I'm coming at it from more as how I do things and how I work as a producer and co-producer working with Shorty. And it was strange to kind of make that shift and even think about like little brand details like different logos, different colors associated with it. Sometimes when we write posts, like sometimes Shorty will write a post or I'll write a post, and obviously we have different voices. So kind of establishing the dual ownership of the label was quite important for us when considering that branding. But it's something we've slowly starting to get the hang of. It's not perfect, but we're getting the hang of it.
Exactly. Well, and I guess if it's like a joint brand or like, you know, any sort of brand, that's obviously going to have its own brand voice separate to yours. So yeah, there is a lot of like intricacies to think about. And it's not just posting, it's things like these panels. You know, this is getting all three of our, you know a bit more about us and our styles, getting onto like podcasts. And there's really easy ways to do that now. There's oh God, I always forget what it's called. Matchmaker.fm, I think it is. If anybody wants to get on podcasts, it's basically like Tinder for podcasts. You can say that you want to be a guest and what you want to talk about, and then there's people on there that have podcasts and they'll be like, oh yeah, I want to chat to them. So it's a really good way to like kind of that's where I would recommend you start if you haven't spoken on like panels yet or delivered any keynotes. Even if you think that that's not something that is for you, I would really highly recommend that you do it. Like podcasts will just help you become a better communicator. You can then also use the clips from that to put on social media. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then people are like, oh, they speak really well eventually, or maybe straight away. And then you'll get invited onto panels, or you can contact events like Production Futures, or, you know, there's a million events happening all the time in the creative industry. You can say, look, here's a podcast I did. Could I come to your event and speak about this or on any panels? And that's all part of your personal branding and to help you like grow. And just think of it as like the web, that like every time you do something like that, it's gone out a little bit more. Do you enjoy, you're both great at panels, by the way. I know you've both just like recently started. How do you find them, Dylan? Have you done any podcasts?
No, not podcasts. Nerve-wracking, but once you kind of get into the routine of it, it get a bit easier. We did our first one together last week at ILMC, and that went well, so...
Thanks, well.
We're pros now.
Exactly. Seasoned experts. I can't wait to see the post on LinkedIn. So we've talked a lot about connections already, so I'm going to skip that question. And we're going to come to some audience questions in just a few minutes, so if anyone's got any, please do let us know. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Dylan, have mentors played a role in your journey, and how did that mentorship relationship come about?
Okay, so, I mean, two big ones for me were working with Louise Strickland and Julie Harper, who are external PR creatives, and they've been in the industry for decades. Both of them write amazingly, so going to site with them and seeing how they interview people and how their articles actually come together was really important. It made me change how I kind of interview people, because before I just get straight to the questions. This is what I need to know, tell me. Whereas they put people at ease so well that by just like asking personal questions that won't make it into the article, but it just lowers the tone, I guess, and makes people more comfortable. And it's improved my writing, so.
Yeah, brilliant. What about you, Macy? Have you had any mentors? I don't know if you haven't, have you?
I actually
Apart from
haven't.
your dad.
Lots of stuff literally. Lots of stuff I've done myself, so I can't really comment. But
Yeah.
they seem, from what I've heard from other people, very helpful.
They
So-
are. I'm going to recommend, I don't know if you can see me, NowWe Network of Women in Events. If you are a woman working in events or even just, creative industries, they do an amazing mentorship program every year, and I would highly, highly recommend it. They also have just a great community for airing and sharing your challenges and what's working well and what isn't. But there's loads and loads of mentorship programs. Just chuck it in Google, not ChatGPT, and you'll find them. I would really, because you'll just learn so much from them, and they'll always be so willing to introduce you to their network as well. So get involved with mentorships. Last couple of questions from me then before we open up to the audience. Dylan, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of practical advice when starting out, what would it be?
Don't be too critical and just be open to people's advice. Soak everything in because people are open to giving you advice. Like, just soak it all in and don't worry about not knowing everything to start with. You're there to learn. People around you know that. So,
Yeah, I think mine would be, like I said, I didn't really start networking or building my personal brand until my like mid to late 20s. I'm 35 now, so like 8 years. But like, imagine if I'd have started doing that when I was 18, I'd have had like double the amount of time of working on that personal brand and getting my name out there. And I just felt really like nervous and scared of what people would think. And I just wish I hadn't. I know it's easier to say in hindsight, but that would be my advice. Just start posting and put yourself out there. So, Macy, for creatives in the room who feel behind, what would you say to them?
I think I'll build on what I said before about journeys being non-linear. It's no one's ever behind. Like, you may feel like other people your age, you're like, oh, well, they're already doing this and this and this. But you have no idea who they know, where they've been, and like their background. And so you're doing well for yourself. And as long as you're always doing things that you think will better your career, so like chasing those opportunities or creating your own, like Dylan said, and trying your best by using people you know to get in other rooms and work with other different people. Or if it's something like production, honing your craft and making more music and experimenting with different plugins or different sound palettes from different inspirations. All of those things contribute to ultimately your career. And so no one's ever really behind, always learning.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. Thank you, Macy. Dylan?
Well, I didn't start the apprenticeship until 25, I think, which, I mean, I felt behind doing that. But it's amazing how fast you can kind of catch up once you're in your role, once you found it. So it's not something to be too worried about, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's path is different. I didn't get my first full-time job until I was 25, nearly 26, and then felt really behind, and then realised full-time's not for me, and came back to creative. And now, you know, I've got friends who are like really senior corporate jobs, and I'm like, I do freelance events work, but I love it. And like, just don't compare yourself to anyone. Just do what feels right for you. Amazing. Thank you both so much. I'm really inspired by you both. It's so great to see like such passion from the next generation. So thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause before we go to audience questions. Do we have any questions? Yes. Got a couple. We'll come to you first. Mike's coming over. There we go.
Hello. So I'm a musician with very little budget, and so I've had to teach myself everything. So production, video editing, and so I've done all of my own music videos, lyric videos, visualizers. So I thought, why not monetize off of that? So I think I started like a year and a half ago now, just trying to get that kind of work. But at the moment, it's just kind of word of mouth. And so I've got all my branding, all the logos and everything like that, but I'm just having trouble kind of breaking out of the small circle of word of mouth people. So do you have any tips on like how to get random people that I don't know who want to possibly work with me?
Okay, I think for that, well, word of mouth is a good way to like spread things around, of course. But I think, like I was saying before, also, if there's any people that you want to work with yourself in the local area, or even like you just see someone like randomly and you're like, oh, that's really cool, actively like firing out emails, or like say that if you're making a video, like tagging them in a video and being like, oh, like I really want to, like, you see lots of those videos on social media with those hooks that are like, if you're da-da-da, stop scrolling, this is for you. And sometimes things like that can also get people's attention. But yeah, sometimes like if you see specific people that you want to reach, you don't know also who that person will know, and then that's where word of mouth kind of comes back into the equation. I don't know if that helps, but
Thank you.
maybe just like the people that you work with once you've built up a portfolio, um, their networks and people that are interested in them might see it, and that might help. And yeah, social media is massive, so get posting it on there.
I think what worked for me was not being afraid to those people that you say you've got a small network, but not being afraid to ask them to introduce you to people. Also, it's not just that network. Like, we can all be a bit guilty of thinking, well, they don't know anything about music, or they don't know anything about events, so I'm not going to speak to them. But actually, once you start speaking to your friends, your family, like old colleagues, whatever, just like make a long list of anybody that you think might help you, that like kind of likes you, or you've helped in the past, and just email them. Like, just as a reminder, like, this is what I do. Just like quick couple of sentences, bullet points of like what you do. If you think, if you know anyone that you think might find this helpful, or if I can help you, like, I'm here. And just really reminding people that's what you do. I did that. It's called network mapping. And I was amazed at how many people got back to me and was like, oh yeah, I'll introduce you to like my friend that you've never heard of. And then also just messaging people like Macy and Dylan said that you think you might want to work with on LinkedIn or whatever, and messaging them, or seeing already if you have any mutual connections, and say, and then get like a warm introduction. Somebody mentioned that on the stage earlier. So like, who's your mutual connection? Do you know them well enough to say, oh, would you mind messaging this person? Introduce me, because that always works much better than a cold one. But still do cold outreach as well. And it's just like a numbers game. Spread, spread, spread. That would be my advice. Thank you. Good question. There was another one. Yeah, just there.
I just had the question, how do you deal and handle with rejection when it comes to something you're really passionate about and or have worked really hard on?
Oh, I think it's certainly interesting. I have a really good example for this. We were doing a couple of me and a couple of the Shorty and another producer on our label. We were doing a song for our local football club. They wanted a theme song, and we wanted to make it. And so we came up with this song, and we were like, oh, this hook's really good. They're gonna love it. We went into a board meeting and posed it to them, and they were like, nah, that's kind of naff. And we went away being like, that was such a good hook, but ultimately, if the client themselves isn't passionate about it, then we should always try and accommodate their wishes. And so if it's client work, especially, putting yourself in the mind of the client and being like, okay, so they don't like this, and although I really, really love it, maybe I can recycle it and use it for something else, like a more personal project. And then being like, okay, so I can build from that to then make something that the client actually likes. And then you always have that in the bank that you made. So nothing really ever goes to waste as well, which is like, so even if an idea is rejected by one person, it may be loved by somebody else. And that's the thing about creative work, is it's so subjective. People love loads of different things.
Yeah, I echo that. It is all subjective creative work, so it's not a knock on you. It is just that they're looking for something different. To kind of help yourself next time, maybe just try and understand the client's needs more, ask more questions when you're in the brief. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. We can get so passionate and like protective of what we've made creatively, but just really, really reminding yourself it's subjective. Just because that person, or even if it's lots of people saying they don't like it, saying it's not good, like, good for you thinking that, but I know it is. There's a really good example, but I'm sure like most good films, most good albums, most good apps that we use now have all been rejected over and over and over. There's one I had the other day, I can't remember what it was, maybe it was Squid Games or something, like tried for 30 years to get Squid Games out, and then everyone was like, no, 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 and then it came out, and like, how huge was Squid Games? It's like, just because you've got these people who were like up in their boardrooms saying it's not good, just ignore them. Much easier said than done, and just like vent to someone about it and then move on. And remember, you're amazing. Love that question. Are there any other questions? Got time for one more if there is, but we are at time. Yeah, go on, real quick up front.
Hi, thank you, panel, for your advice. I do have a question for you, but more, I would say, for where you are in your stage of life, so more about financial stability and how to maintain that in the creative industry as a freelancer.
Yeah, I will start, but maybe if you want to add anything. It is tough. So I quit a job, went traveling for a bit, came back, and it was lockdown. So I just had to no one was hiring. So I had to think on my feet and just get creative. And I was really lucky because I could move in with my mum. And I know not everyone has that opportunity, but just got super creative. And then got offered this amazing full-time role, went back to do it because I thought it was the right thing to do. It's the stable thing to do, being a full-time presenter, whatever. But I just really didn't like it in the end. And I was like, I need to get out of here for my mental health. But I couldn't just quit straight away. So I did do the slow build of doing the side hustle, making sure I had enough contacts who were willing to give me money before I quit. And it did take a long while. But at some point, I mean, everyone's situation's different. I don't have kids. I'm very, very lucky in a lot of ways that I can make these bold choices. But I was just ready to quit, do the things I was passionate about, but also, if needed to, do the thing I wasn't passionate about, like work in a coffee shop part-time, or there's loads of great apps where you can do temporary work in hospitality and retail and stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to do that if and when I need to, just to pay the bills, but focus on the creative thing. And so you've just got to do your budget. I say I don't have a budget, but I should. We all should. How much do I need to earn every month to survive? How much do I need to be able to go on a holiday occasionally, and just know what that is and figure out, can I earn that if I do X amount of work that I don't enjoy and X amount of creative stuff? And then when you feel confident in doing that, just take the leap. But I just think life's too short to not take the leap and be creative. And I think just do it, but be financially responsible too. Dylan, did you have anything you wanted to add on that one?
Well, don't rule out full-time. There's loads of creative roles that are full-time. So, yeah.
Oh, and that. Yeah, no, really good advice. Thank you so much. We are at time. If anyone's got any questions for us three, we'll just be at the side of the stage afterwards. But huge, huge thank you to our panel today. Thank you, Macy and Dylan.